YouTube. We are back again this week for another video portion of the Daly Dose Sports Podcast. Hope everyone out there is doing well. Hope you're having a good week. Hope you're all staying healthy. This week on the Daly Dose YouTube video, well, we're actually just starting the show. And as we do many weeks, we have a little sports history to discuss. And unfortunately, it's a little bit of dark sports history, at least this week. So let's go ahead and jump into the show right now. Wednesday, November 18th, 2020, you are listening to the Daly Dose Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado. And we are back for another week of talking sports with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. Hope your week is going well. Hope your week is off to a good start. I hope you, your family, your friends, hope you're all staying healthy. We are happy to have you all here with us today. And we actually have, well, it's a bit of a dark day in sports history today. And I hate to start the show off this way, but November 18th, it's got a few negatives to it, if I'm being honest. First up, it was back on November 18th, 1982, that South Korean boxer Doo-Koo Kim died from injuries sustained during a 14-round fight with Ray Mancini in Las Vegas. Now, I was a young kid when this fight took place. And a lot of these big fights were just on, local television. It may have been on ABC Wide World of Sports or on CBS or whatever, and I was glued to the fights that came on. I had watched Ray Boom Boom Mancini fight a few times. He was a tough dude. He threw a lot of punches. I actually saw him lose to Alexis Arguello for the lightweight title. And early on, he was giving Arguello some trouble, but then, experience paid off. Arguello was just too smart. And Mancini, he had to go fight and get some more experience. But his toughness had impressed me. Well, Ray Mancini would rebound. He would win a couple of fights. And then he was set to fight a very tough Korean fighter by the name of Doo-Koo Kim. They fought at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Now, the fight was live. They showed it just on CBS. And Kim had struggled to make the weight. He was trying to shed weight to get down to, I believe it was like 135. Well, before the fight, Doo-Koo Kim told a reporter, either he dies or I die. In fact, back at his hotel, Kim had written on a lampshade, live or die. It was a tough physical fight. It was outside in the Vegas heat. Mancini would eventually knock Kim out in the 14th round of a fight that was scheduled for 15 rounds. Now, Kim would end up getting swelling on the brain. He would die. His mother would later commit suicide because she was so distraught. Ray Mancini would go into a deep cycle of depression that would last for years. Now, after the fight, the WBC would eventually shorten title bouts to 12 rounds. The WBA and WBO would do the same, but on that day, it was a long fight. It was a lot of punishment, and we lost Doo-Koo Kim. Unfortunately, we're not done with November 18th, because it was also on November 18th, back in 1963, that American basketball player Len Bias was born in Landover, Maryland. Of course, we all know the story. Bias was a superstar. He was set to have an amazing career in the NBA. He gets drafted with the second overall pick of the '86 NBA draft by the Boston Celtics, who were still good, but they definitely needed some talented youth to come in. But then just 2 days after being drafted on June 19th, 1986, Len Bias was celebrating, he was partying, and he tried some cocaine, and he died tragically of a heart attack. Now, when you think about these two tragedies, they took place within just a few years of each other. I mean, Doo-Koo Kim's death was in 82. Len Bias died in 86. I realize he didn't die on this day. He was born on this day. But at the time, I can remember vividly, there were stories in the newspaper. There were stories like on the news. I clearly remember both of these stories made the cover of Sports Illustrated, which at the time was like the biggest thing that possibly happened in sports. But can you imagine the media coverage we would have if these things happened today? ESPN would be doing 24-hour specials on them. Stephen A. Smith would be debating the positives and negatives of recreational drugs. Skip Bayless would be saying, well, Doo-Koo Kim's death was tragic, but I mean, it couldn't hold a candle to the death of like Jimmy Doyle back in 47. And can you imagine all of the woke crowd tweeting, and saying how boxing should be banned. They would be saying that NBA players are under such high stress, they don't have any choice but to try cocaine. We would be forming support groups. There would be protests. It would be so much bigger and so much more crazy than it ever was at that time. Then again, these days, both Dooku Kim's and Len Bias's death would most likely be attributed to COVID. So we'd probably be getting 24-hour news on COVID, which is what we're actually getting right now. So maybe it wouldn't be all that different, but it would be a little different. You get what I'm saying? Hey, if you'd like to contact the show, and maybe you are going through some dark days in your life right now, or maybe you want to talk sports, maybe you want to tell us how much you love the Daily Dose and how it brightens your life in every way possible, we would love to hear from you. Hit us up on email, dailydosesports@gmail.com, or go find us over on Facebook or Twitter. Both of those handles are at Daily Dose Sports. We would love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you're not sure where to find maybe Daily Dose gear, if you're not sure where to find the video or the podcast, you can always go to dailydosesports.wordpress.com. Check out some of the stuff that we have over there. But we put up all the links that you'll need over there. Okay, YouTube, be sure that you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast this week. This week on the show, we have a number of sports stories coming out. Of course, the Masters took place over the weekend. The NBA draft takes place later tonight. We are talking a little bit of NFL stories, some college football stories, a number of things in breaking news. But then, we are just past the mid-season point of the NFL season. So we're bringing in a longtime friend of the show to discuss the season so far. We're looking at each division. We make our picks for Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Most Valuable Player so far, and we do make our Super Bowl picks. So make sure you go check out the full podcast. I will leave a link for you here right down in the comments on YouTube. Hope you all are doing well. I will see y'all next Wednesday. Have a great week.